stage 3, you can see them there up a whopping 14 places, 25. Now, Düsseldorf is looking like a reality, Levin.
Yes, and this is the thing. When you have elite players, and that's what these guys are, regardless of what we saw yesterday, when you have elite players, you can't count them out. I love the approach they've taken to today's off spawns mini, where yesterday they lost a couple of spawns, you know, at Dark Dominion, and so they decided, okay, we're gonna just try and split it, and then that's where they ran into more problems. Today, they've just been taking the fight off spawn. They're just like, no, we're gonna fight you guys. We're gonna take the fight, truly Gonzo, whatever you guys wanna do, we will fight you, no problems us. They've been winning the fights, even in that last game, right? They ended up with what, a really good game, where the start of the game was actually rough because they have to reboot Pixie. Then when Pixie gets rebooted, other teams come in, third party them, Pixie goes down again, he gets rebooted again, and they're still able to have a good game. And so that shows you that they've come into today completely changed, completely renewed, and they're gonna be a threat for the rest of the day.
Levin, who's coaching these guys at the moment?
Not sure, can't remember.
They need like a motivational voice in their ear to remind them they are literally the #1 and #2 placing players at the Global Championships from last year. Because mini-miners, sometimes I'm thinking maybe it's just their confidence that's not there. They just need a reminder of the fact that they're 2 of the best fraggers in Europe.
Yeah, potentially. I think day one yesterday was a big shock to them. And what I've always said in Fortnite is the best teams will play well on day one, but the better teams will VOD and do even better on day 2. And that's what these guys are sort of epitomizing right now. You can see them. They went back in replays last night. They looked at what went wrong. They didn't try to change too much on day 1. They tried to stick to their guns. Didn't work out. Now today, things have shifted. They're changing up their game plan. And I'm looking at their placements, 8th. They didn't get a top 35 yesterday. Their best placement was a 35th. So it's like, they completely flipped the script on what they were performing like, and now they're in 25th, so that's going to be huge for them, hopefully qualifying here through here.
I'd like to say the only way is up, but nothing is guaranteed in Fortnite. Let's head over to Taco and Takata for game number 9.
Look, Swizzy and Pixie knew that they were in for a grueling battle here today, Takata, but it is their last chance to try and overcome the odds and see if they can put themselves into a position where they are just inside of that top 20 qual metric for the Major 1 Summit LAN.
Yep, game 1, they got 48 points. Game 2, they got 76 points. And what they needed today was an average of 50 points every single game. Now, if they get very big point games, obviously that average can go down. Having a 76-point game in the 8th match, I'm liking how things are looking, but it can change depending on how that off spawn goes. But for Shark and Teeny, it is looking brighter and brighter. A massive win, 12 eliminations. Let's see if that changes the confidence for them in the early game. The next game, number 9, is ready to go.
Just general overview right now. You can see the bus path transcending downwards. Wonky Land. While we haven't seen that immediate 50-50 off spawn so far here today, with Shark and Teeny's last victory royale in game number 8, it would not surprise me in the slightest to see them maybe offer a little bit more aggression earlier on, but for right now, northern directions for Teeny. He's actually opted to take control of this like little castle area just north of the BOI, and Shark also a little bit deeper north. Maybe their concern is, we saw Twet kind of poking his head on over from Wonky from Toy Box Talk, so that could be a big part of the reason why. But Swizzy, 1 elimination already, and we get a chance to revisit what went wrong here for Truly. Just a really proactive elim there out of Swizzy, and like the desk already touched on, they just decided, you know what, it's our turn to actually just start throwing punches. And I feel like for Truly and Gonzo, they're just like, wait, hold up, timeout. When did you guys start punching back?
Yeah, it's already 4 teams though at Dark Dominion, so we'll see how it continues as Nebs and Nathan had a very big game to kick off the day, but then fell short in the next match, 47th place, and now we're here. Game 9, 3rd match of the day, and Nebs and Nathan once again, back-to-back, getting eliminated off spawn, coming from an 11 elimination second. This is not what you wanted to see, but something you do like seeing. It's Shark Teeny playing aggressive. Huddy Fishy have to lock in here.
But right now, Huddy and Fishy do have a little bit better control over the vending machines, but for how long can they actually keep Shark and Teeny out? Huddy looking to see if he can break some of their walls from a different angle. Fishy does get a nice shot onto Shark. That's going to drop him incredibly low. Shark will have to wait and see. Fortunately, they do have splashes to work with. Teeny also, I believe he just split some of his mats there. So Huddy, Fishy, trying to gather up whatever else they might be able to use here to put themselves into a winning position. But Shark Teeny, you can tell just how hungry they are for this exchange. They want to wipe out Huddy and Fishy, and they might be able to do it. Huddy, though, doing a great job pulling back Fishy, actually forcing Shark to wait despite taking a big chunk out of Huddy's HP. He's not going to be able to close in fully just because of the backup from Fishy. But I might have spoken too soon. Teeny with a different angle. He brings down Huddy, who was already so incredibly low. Now it's all about collapsing onto Fishy, but Fishy making sure it's not easy. It doesn't matter though. Jaws theme song in real life here. Shark and Teeny kicking Huddy and Fishy back to the battle bus. They were already in 19th place heading into this leaderboard, and that's bound to drop even further outside of that land qual.
Instant change in confidence coming through that win. You could tell it was looking a little iffy starting off the day of them being outside of qualifying range to Dusseldorf. They quickly pushed themselves up at the top 15, and now after that win, they are back in business. This is the Shark and Teeny we were expecting in the major finals after an underperformance in day one. Now they're back in action. Huddy Fishy actually completely ran out of mats in that engagement, so they were constantly applying pressure. Pablo and Chino now, they are still in second place. They've gotten top 10 in every match today, but we know that they want that first place.
Of course, hungry for yet another FNCS title. Chino and Pablo. They're gonna set up. They've got a line of sight onto Aza and Ifrozi. They are gonna take their opportunity to get at least one tag in, but there is, of course, always action taking place elsewhere on the map. And Zany, look at this setup. Hydro and Keto just shut down. They've been lords of the tunnels for the most part, hanging out by Dark Dominion and other teams. When they hit those VODs, when they hit the replays, Takata, they're bound to catch wind of what's actually taking place and do their own sort of ambush maneuvers. And that's exactly the kind of thing that I think even the most experienced teams would still struggle with here today.
Scary place to be in. Swizzy and Pixie felt it firsthand yesterday, but going a lot better today. Thomas HC and Focus. It wasn't a terrible match, but it wasn't what they needed to get what they truly want. The first place finish, 15th to Elims. Now here in the 9th match, I believe it was a mix of kind of a rotate where Thomas got caught off guard by Sayaz, and then also just being a little low on Surge. It's just so difficult when even the most experienced players in the lobby cannot handle this net Surge.
Big contributing factor to that is just knowing every single duo out here is trying to reevaluate, figure out what sort of strategy do we need to do to put ourselves in the best position to be above that Surge metric. Vico Malabuca. Well, we have seen glimpses of greatness from this duo. For the most part, it has been relatively quiet. They've done a decent job at least remaining inside of that top 10 portion of the leaderboard, but it's just one of those instances where you're kind of just waiting for like the what next factor. You're waiting to see the big pop off really from that team.
Moneymaker for 9. Sit in 31st right now. I mean, 128 points. They're actually not too far from top 20. They would need a big game. But these early game fights, they mean so much. You just cannot go down here.
Faded and Khan. Not sure if the intention was to go for an ambush here against iDrop and Medius, but iDrop and Medius have been pretty much unconned ad latte this entire series so far. And after the day one performance didn't exactly go how they would have pictured it or preferred it to. I'm almost much more inclined to believe that there's going to be duos like Faded and Khan and whatnot that opt to maybe try and throw themselves into Latte's potential area to contest. Deemish Darm, though, doing more of the same of what they've been after. Started the first couple of lobbies here today, checking out the eastern section of the map, and now they're back out west. Pretty familiar sightseeing, though, for these two, given that their original starting point had been Tip Top Terrace once upon a time before the map shifted a bit, and now, without a set drop, they're really just, I wouldn't call them scavengers, because I do think that they do a pretty solid job at cleaning up the teams that they fight and extending their own positions for rotations and whatnot in a game. But it is scary when you have a team that's just vaguely rolling around the map and you're not really sure where they're going to be next.
I'm kind of wondering why they switched, though. They got 5th place, 8 elims in the last match, 6 elims, 15 in the match before that. Like, it's not like it was going too bad against Zot and Ifrozy, but you know, they're just continuing with their rhythm, so we'll see how it does play out. I mean, they're both up right now, so it didn't go terribly wrong either. Kamihari, very rough start the day. Currently in 18th place. They went down 29th, 25th. Not the matches that you would have liked to see from this duo. We saw them have some pretty big ones yesterday, so hopefully they can make a change here.
No Rally and Reason, another one of our duos, though. All day yesterday, they were having to deal with a pretty set 50-50 all-spawn fight. But the scenes have shifted a bit for this duo here today. It's one thing, though, to make it to the end game. It's another to convert that end game into a performance that would net you points inside of the leaderboard for that top 20 position at Summit 1 LAN. Tilio and Shakos, though, I don't think they know what's coming next. This is starting to get real spooky. Darm and Deemish, very content right now over by Tree Chop Timbermill. They're healing up. Got the vending machines. Afford to expend a little bit more time here, but Shakos and Tilio will catch wind of this duo the moment that they mosey on out of the buildings here. And it's not just one, but potentially even another duo. Thought another team might have had an angle in onto this engagement, but instead, Shakos Tilio, they got what they were after. The tags, they want to keep moving forward.
Sky Scroll, almost 100 points ahead. A little less against Chino Pablo. They're just continuing to kind of slowly increase that gap as the matches go on. And the issue is I don't really see them slowing down. It's almost the opposite. They kicked it off with a 7th for elims and then a second 8 elims. They're just doing better and better. We'll see if that continues as Kamihari now have picked up a couple eliminations. Things are starting to look brighter for this duo today.
But they still got a long ways to go here, Takata. The big thing to keep in mind is that a lot of our teams that are in that top portion of the leaderboard, what they've been doing is having at least 1 or 2 games, netting high eliminations, netting strong placement. So it's gonna be a lot more than just the offhand elimination or 2. A lot of these duos that are outside of that top 5 territory, they're gonna need to start pulling in 6-7 eliminations per game, strong placement finishes, and it's always easier said than done. But for Pablo and Chino, this is, they are eating good right now at Sandy Strip.
Yeah, they are having a great time. Almost too much. Like, what do we do with all this? We'll see how the zones end up closing out, but Thomas focus. It was a rough late game rotate. I'm glad to see the amount of damage they've got so far, though. Scavenging through Battlewood Boulevard. And again, kind of in the south side of the zone.
It's crazy that there's still some goodies left over. Even though Sky and Scroll, you know, that's their initial starting point, but Makes sense. One duo can only carry so much. Thomas and Focus, they're really just trying to be wary. I'm certain that they're fully aware of that hill that Sky and Scroll would like to take claims over Surge base on. And it's going to be difficult to avoid their line of sight, but where there's a will, there's a way. Vika Malabuka, ready to get going. I'll try and avoid any congestion wherever possible. Probably one of their healthiest Surge metrics that we've seen so far here today, but Fnatic and Moneymaker could be a thorn in the side here if they actually choose to try and force this battle up against Malabuka and Vika. You never know what duos might be a little bit more desperate for some of that Surge.
Yeah, this was the main duo I was talking about when I said, you know, EU Titans actually struggling with net Surge. It was Malabuka Vico in the last match, and when you're 460 above, you do not want to risk getting tagged in these fights right now. They do not need it. I'm glad that they're focusing on the rotate here. Syaz, Scary. It's about time for them to have a big match if they want to keep up the expectations going into today. I guess the performance that they had yesterday, expectations are a little mixed. 24 points so far. Let's see if they can get a big one.
Well, first, we got to see what Zany and Burke decide to do. They've been waiting things out. Thought for a moment that they were going to choose to pop out. Scary and Syaz rolled on by, but not the intentions, not just yet. Yen isn't cheating. Decent spot on the edge of zone. They're just trying to scope out, see if there's any teams. Been edit open a little bit too long, maybe that they can take advantage of, but at least for right now, we're gonna avoid most of the lobby focus.
Dark Teeny 281 above. We saw them get the 2 eliminations off spawn on Honey Fishy. And they have a very good amount of maps, actually. If they can pull some zones here, this could be another very big match for them. If anyone's capable of a back-to-back win, it's going to be Shark and Teeny.
And when you compare, though, both sides of the zone, Kira, Karama just under so much duress right now. Pixie, Swizzy just going to take advantage of the circumstance. Big eliminations here for these two. Another one of our duos that they need every single point they can get. 25th. And we never said it was impossible for them to come back, but they are playing with new life right now here today, Takada.
Yeah.
In this 9th lobby, this is where a lot of that willpower is truly going to be tested, because they can convert this into a great endgame finish, and it starts with just 1 more elimination, 4 more points added to the count. Every little bit just kind of sending a new little bit of revival into this duo. New hopes, too. They might actually just squeeze in for that land qual, and that we won't have to sit out our Major 1 Summit land. We'll have at least 1 out of 3 representatives from that global championship team.
From 47th place to 25th today, the issue is, despite these consistent performances, the job's not done. They need to continue having these matches every single game, but be careful, Teeny's actually been knocked if you look at the bottom left. What has gone wrong? Hopefully Shark here is able to pick him up, as it doesn't seem like anybody is actually pushing them.
Look, don't get me wrong, Shark and Teeny, they might have had a lot of materials, they might have had a decent amount of heals there, Takada, but their positioning was a little bit scuffed. They were kind of sandwiched between 2 separate teams, Hardcore and Kira at one point. I believe when they made that initial rotation, they're kind of forced to ship, now boxed up right next to Aza and Ifrozi. We've already seen Aza pop off once here today, so even contenders like Shark and Teeny, you've gotta be wary that where they actually want to duke things out. Thomas focused, 210 above. Probably one of the most favorable zones that they're going to get. And now, Thomas, so confident in Boop Chat yesterday after the fact. Levin already highlighted it. Just give me zones, and I will show you a champion performance. We'll wait to see just how he intends on delivering. Might have to deal with iDrop and Medius nearby, though. But Thomas, focus, patient. Scheming, that's for sure.
To be fair, this is one of the better kind of surge they've had. I'm hoping that Overdrive didn't go too wrong, but Sharktini, they are so good at getting refreshes when they need it most, but it was even a refresh onto Syaz and Scary.
Right now is Scroll, Sky, 343 above, taking shots back. The rest of the lobby sort of funneling in towards their direction. Won't be able to get the pre-edit just then onto Dinas and Fernek. Escape by directly underneath them, but when you are this set on Surge, you can still take your time, pick your moments when you want to strike next. Thomas Focus might be in a little bit of a stir here right now. Shakos nearby. They're gonna drop their pizza box. Tom's gonna carry some of those slices, but Focus definitely wanted to heal up a bit. Flowberry Mist Grenade too, and you have to remember, anytime these Flowberry and Mist Clouds are seen, teams on height, bound to start looking, trying applying pressure into those areas. Minori, if he's not careful, he might get sandwiched in between Sharktini, Focus, Thomas, but so many teams collecting their own fair share of eliminations here, and Pablo making it look too easy. Werex, no idea what happened next there. The pre-edit just too powerful.
Pablo Chino, they've gotten top 10 in the last 2 matches, but it's still not enough when you're competing against Sky Scroll. It's just so difficult to push them out of the first place spot. You mentioned it, Taco. Thomas HD, Focus, said give us zones. We won't disappoint. Well, let's see it happen here as Sky and Scroll pick up an elimination. And now Focus on making it towards zone.
And with Sky Scroll applying that kind of pressure too, it puts out the warning signs for everybody else in the lobby. They start closing off their walls, they start boxing up, so that makes it feasible for them to just rotate so freely off that overdrive grenade. But look at the high ground. Swizzy, Pixie, they've actually managed to escalate themselves up. Cheat and Giannis, when it looked like it might be theirs for a moment, now they'll be forced to just sit in that secondary height position instead. But how much pressure can Swizzy and Pixie truly apply here? They've got their work cut out for them. Teeny, though, he's taking a tumble. Shark left as a solo here. Front side of zone at the very least, but still so much to deal with. So many other teams looking to try and cut him off along the way.
Repairs also got cracked now. Sure, trying to figure out which way he even wants to go. They are not grouped up here, but a refresh is going to come through. Focus, though, has to be on getting to zone. Thomas HD and Focus. Good synergy here. Both players looking healthy. Issue is running low on mats. They will need to pick up some eliminations shortly. Sky Scroll, though, still have good mats. But you got to be careful, Scroll, as he gets cracked. Is going to be able to group up, though. Pizza put down, and now should be able to heal.
But that forced halt, that temporary time lost, that could ultimately be the seconds that make the difference. Pullback gonna help Shark out just a little bit here. Stuck inside of his own wooden cone, waiting to see who he can actually try and close in on. Repairs. They had to work to get into their position in the first place on the leaderboard. And now it's looking like this lobby might be working against them. But Shark knock onto Pablo. Chino, he might just be able to see if he can turn this one around, but no, he'll have to abandon Pablo. Not going to be able to actually opt for that revive. Shark knows it's only a matter of time before the siphon comes into play for him. He's going to wrap around, take advantage of it, but you can tell already the storm sickness is a problem here right now for Shark. He can't afford to tank up any more ticks of zone. He's gonna have to hope that Volko doesn't realize on the other side of the wall. He still has no materials left to work with. Gino with another elimination though. 8 builds. Overdrive grenade effect. Only 1 left though for mobility. This is looking like a tough one to close out.
A lot of solos. Pablo was forced to clutch it out. In the last match now, it's all up to Chino. He's got 3 on the board, but it looks like he's gonna have to rotate up a hill. Has to break through builds. It's getting a little messy. Down below, will he be able to find a way out and even finds an elimination alongside it? Sky, we've seen your solo clutch potential. You now have another shot to do it.
Just lurking around. He is going to find a big shot that's going to connect all of those goodies. An ultimate low here. It's familiar territory, but look at Swizzy and Pixie. We knew they needed to have a monumental day here. And they are making sure to do everything in their power to find it. Malibuca, Vico, also another team looking to try and see if they can pick off Sky. Pressure from above, pressure from below, and Sky Scroll, they are out of this one. But Chino still trekking through, still breaking all of these pre-existing builds. Front side for now, hoping that he can stay concealed away from the team on height. But you never know, the moment that he drops, ultimate low, currently controlled. Vico and Malibuca are the ones looking to try and cut some players off here. Vico with that mythic chaos too. Swizzy, Pixie, they're just trying to keep their distance for the time being. But Volko, Cringe, We're gonna head straight into where Vico Mally just dropped into, but Vico gets the better end of the exchange. Both cringe so incredibly low, they're not gonna be able to withstand the pressure here. Mally and Vico with just another extension of builds and materials to work with.
This is the first match today that Vico and Malabuka have gotten into top 10, and they are not disappointing. Chino with a big shot connecting as well. 12 HP is all that's left. He's going to be forced to drop down. Issue is, the team up above, they're going to capitalize on that. It might be just up to Swizzy. Pixie is out of shield. He's out of HP, but we've got our global champion. Show us what it takes. It might just be 6 pizza slices. Malabuka, are you going to be able to out-heal it?
It's the vending machine. That's where Swizzy was headed. He wants to make it to the vending, the patch-ups, the pizza. It's the perfect recipe for success here right now. Vico is hunting. Malabuka is hoping that they find it, but it's no good. Swizzy and Pixie, they have really seemed to have found a lot of momentum here today at Takata, and this Victory Royale should push them into that top 20 position.
47th place going into today, and now I want to see where that is. Frankie Levin Mini, what a match.
This is the duo we were looking to in the pre-show. We knew that they needed to have at least 5 fantastic endgames to be in with a shot of making it to LAN, but now Mini Miner, it's looking like top 10 could become a reality.
What a performance from these guys today. This is just completely different. It's the other end of the stick to what we saw yesterday. Not only are they making those end games consistently now, not only have they fixed their off-spawn, now they've found the winning formula here as well. And what a lovely clutch there at the end from Swizzy to make it happen with the vending machine. I always like little plays like that, doing something a little bit different. But wow, this is a huge comeback. And I was saying in the back, if this is to be like a top 5 maybe for this team, is this maybe the best FNCS Grand Finals comeback ever? I can't think of a better one.
Well, one of the better ones, right? I remember Andalex had a really crazy one way back in the day that people always go on about. At the end of the day, Takata said they were 47th yesterday. So far today, they've been the #1 team, right? They've accrued the most points, or tied at least with Shortfall and Repairs as far as day 2 is concerned. And the reality is that is the type of turnaround they needed to have with how terribly things were looking for them as far as summit qualification goes. And it's good to see, you know, both of them sort of, you know, have their impact on this game. Swizzy at the end holding down the fort. Pixie, I know a lot of people are looking at Pixie's numbers so far in the tournament and wondering when he's going to start to show us the Pixie we saw a lot of last year. And so it was good to see him again have a couple of eliminations alongside Swizzy. These guys are heating up and they're going to continue to rise in these standings.
Well, these are 2 of the best players we've ever seen on LAN as well. So everyone who's watching, we want these guys in the top 20, and we'll see if they can sustain. They just need a couple of really banging end games to make it. So let's head to a break. We'll see you in a few.
Remember how good outside feels? Yeah, we like it too. Verideck makes outside feel just right. Verideck Outdoor. Meet you outside. Just right.
No, messed up. Wait, if you're mid, wait. 100. 100. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. 100.
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk?
These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
We are about to enter the final quarter of the Major 1 finals in Europe, and it might not be all change at the very top of the leaderboard, but things are starting to shuffle around in that top 20, and that's where our eyes have to be on because of qualification for the Major 1 Summit in Düsseldorf. So if you look to the big names on the board, Dam and Demas, they did not have a great start yesterday, but a few great early games has managed to take them into top 10 contention, and you can see there in 16th, Swizzy and Pixie, after that victory royale that they desperately needed in our last game, Mini Minor, they are now in contention. We could be seeing them on land, which we didn't expect yesterday.
Really big from these guys. It's actually nice not to have to scroll down all the way on the leaderboard to be able to see them. We only need to, we might not have to after this next game, who knows. But yeah, really nice to see these guys rising up the standings. We all knew it was potential. We all knew they had the potential for it. It was almost like a what the heck yesterday? What's going on here? Really shocking. They fixed a lot of their mistakes and of course now found that winning formula as well. Really happy for these guys. And actually, hopefully they'll make land because they're a team that you want to see on land and you know they're going to perform.
Well, let's take another look at the leaderboard, because that was surely a Focus and Thomas zone. They've been asking for this. They've surely been sending nice messages to Zeke, and yet they are in 4th now. They've actually been overtaken by Shawfall and Repairs, who are my favorite revelation of day 211.
Yeah, again, we keep talking about them, but because they keep on surprising us, not the best of their game so far today, right? A 10th place, you know, a bit more quiet in comparison, but they still showcase part of why, again, they are going to be a threat in this lobby, and that is they can still make it to these end games, they can still get deep into them and get enough placement points to just keep them ticking along in that top 5. And in this case, because of, you know, Focus and Thomas probably having one of their worst games of the weekend, they are even able to move up a spot as well. So really impressed by these guys still.
Yeah, we haven't really seen them in this position before, right? This is a completely new situation for them to be in terms of the leaderboard. So excited to see what they can actually do in under these circumstances. 3 more games left for them. That was a little bit more favorable zone for them as well. A little bit further south, we saw it end there, and of course Battlewood Boulevard. So, you know, it's kind of answered a couple of our questions about maybe this is a zone thing, because even for Thomas HD, a little bit closer, worse performance. Ooh, what's that going to mean for the rest of the games? Who knows?
Guys, I hate to be so dramatic, but that was a terrible game for Sky and Scroll. They only got 8th Mini Minor.
Oh, it's just not good enough, is it, really? Pack it in, pack it in. No, it's nice. It's good to see these guys still performing well, even when they're not doing what we know they can do. But again, it's just another consistent end game. I feel like we could sort of cookie cutter every single time we come out of one of these games and talk about them. Nicely done from these guys. Again, nicely done on these pre-edits as well. It's nice to see teams still using those to their advantage. And a favorable zone for them, 11, with the fact that it pulled right towards Battlewood Boulevard answers that question of what happens if they do get more favorable zone. They're still popping off.
Yeah, these guys, I'm not worried about them at all, right? A top 5 is exactly what they've been doing all weekend long. They get another top 5 there. A bit unfortunate, right, with the overdrive, with how Swizzy and Pixie were so active. Sky ends up just getting beamed from above. Honestly, I was hoping he'd be able to even stay alive and maybe squeeze out a couple extra bits of placement. But this is the thing, it's a relentless tournament, because even with how good they are, they must be getting frustrated at the fact that Chino and Pablo just refuse to fall off, right? They refuse to allow this tournament to just pass them by, and so they continue to be a threat in this one. We questioned whether or not they'd be, able to continue these types of performances when Zone isn't pulling directly on their POI. They must have just shut everyone up there right now, because this was still the type of game we've been seeing from them all weekend long, Minnie.
Yeah, lovely to see. They're outperforming Sky and Scroll in that last game. That's exactly what they need to do, finding eliminations along the way as well, which is exactly what we know that they can do. And they just got to keep chipping away now. They can't get too ahead of themselves. They got to keep chipping away, because we saw it yesterday. We saw Sky and Scroll did have a little bit of a wobble. It was their last game of the day yesterday. They are prone to it. They're not absolutely immune to having a bad game. So Chino and Pablo have got to just keep themselves calm, keep themselves in these end games, and keep finding these top threes like they have been, because it's been really good so far.
And big up to Chino there. Just because, you know, we all highlight, you know, how amazing Pablo is as a solo clutcher. Chino really pulling out some of his best stuff there, able to get a top 3 from that situation.
Yeah, 62 points difference between first and second right now. It really is another battle of the days. I feel like we're so used to them now in FNCS. But also, when you look at the numbers, average eliminations for Sky and Scroll, 4.89. Chino and Pablo, it's only 4.11. I say only, it's not much of a distance, 4.11. It's very similar when it comes to average placement as well. There is like not of a percentage. I'm very bad at maths, as you can tell. I should not be doing this on the broadcast, but basically what I'm trying to say is it's a very slim difference between these two teams, and the next game could make all the difference. So let's head into game number 10 with Taco and Takata.
Thank you, Frankie. It must be difficult. Pablo Chino getting top 10 every single game today, and it's still not enough. But I also want to think back down to top 20. Putty Fishy now in 21st place. They've swapped again with Sharkantini. Well, Sharkantini swapped way higher up than they have, unfortunately, but they are where Sharkantini started off today in. We also have Noah Riley and Reason, a duo that I'd like to see at the Summit 1 LAN in Germany. Hopefully they can make something happen here. Even Chap Flixie are in 17th. Azat, Ifrozi. We've got so many of these big duos that are just right on that cutoff, and we're getting closer and closer, Taco, to the end.
Yeah, and right now it's all about what's going to happen next, because Game 10 is ready to go. Like you'd already kind of alluded to there, Takata, we are seeing some of those slight movements, a little bit of shuffling in the leaderboard. Top 20 obviously always going to be the prize for every single one of these duos, but it's also more than that. Right now, we are looking for a Major 1 Victory Royale wielder, and I think it's only a matter of time before we have to decide between Sky Scroll, Pablo Chino. Before that, Pixie, Swizzy, just looking to wipe out Dark Dominion. They've been very aggressive up against Truly and Gonzo. So many people were so surprised at the way that this conversation had kind of gone yesterday. But Swizzy and Pixie, they have really just turned things around.
Gotta be careful though, Swizzy has been cracked. Pixie's gonna have to rack up his eliminations here. Good news is they are together. They got the initial knock, and Gonzo now gonna do what he can of being Truly back. He should actually have time, so we'll see how this one closes out.
Just took Swizzy a couple more moments longer than what he would have liked, but Pixie's still able to open up with a separate angle here. Truly does take a big chunk, but it's just not good enough. Swizzy and Pixie might have taken them a couple moments longer, but they still managed to close things out. Ziffy and Jerdy, though, already looking to try and capitalize. They don't want to give Pixie and Swizzy an opportunity to sort of heal back up, but a couple seconds sooner, maybe that goes in Zippy's favor. Right now, though, that won't be the case. Nebs, Nathan, they have to do the same sort of 180. Those last couple of lobbies really working against them, and Nebs goes down. Nathan fighting for his life, but it is another wipeout here at Humble Hills. Xteri and Adapted are just absolutely ruining Nebs and Nathan's position on the leaderboard right now.
47th game 1 today. 48th, the second match, and then now once again off spawn. We're in game 10 out of 12, combining both days, and I mean, with just 2 matches left, I mean, Nebs and Nathan were 11th going into this, so they're still in qualifying range, but they were contenders, not only top 5, to be even top 3 or higher, and now they're just dropping lower and lower. But, I mean, once they make it off spawn, they have had some very incredible performances, so with 2 opportunities left, I'm hoping that they can make it happen.
It's unfortunately just seeming a little bit more like what would happen to them in some of those Div Cup finals during the offseason. You know, they get off to... They know how to be consistent. That's where it hurts with Nebs and Nathan. It's that they're obviously good players at holding their own and finding solid placements, but gotta make sure that you're doing it for every single lobby from this point out. Top 10, there's obviously some pretty big changes when it comes to the prize pool overall. It's not just the Axe of Champions that's up for grabs here, after all.
Pico Malabuca just 1 point behind Thomas HD and Focus now. At 374 going into the match. They had a very big game. Issue is, before that, they were struggling with Surge, so I mean, we'll see where the zone pulls. We'll see how they play it out. But they've been keeping up the pace.
Well, look, when you think about the point disparity between Pablo, Gino, Sky, Scroll,
السلام عليكم، حياكم شباب جميعا بالبث. لايك اشتراك، الله يسعدكم شباب. ما باقي شيء على 200 مشترك.
Whether Sky and Scroll can anticipate just being able to make the same plays they've been doing. No one's really bothered intervening with their usual.
بخلي المايك مقفل وتابعوا معي البث وبس. يعطيكم العافية.
Just a little bit north of Battlewood Boulevard and wait to see how many tanks you can collect after that. But Kido and Hydro probably able to see Scroll tossing out all of these essential items, heals he's picking up. And what they're really waiting for is just that ambush, the sneak opportunities. They know that these two players are separated, and what I was going to ask Takata is, if you're Pablo Chino, do you play for big eliminations, or do you play to try and take Sky Scroll out early? Because I think that's the only way that we're going to see somebody overthrow them in first place. They've got to go down sooner than what they have been. Otherwise, they're going to make it into the top 10 every end game.
We've seen it historically. We've seen it at LANs. We've seen it on different regions. It's always risky to do a drop spot change, but that's not the only option. If you want to take out one of the top teams earlier on, they know the side of the map they drop at. They could take a fight. I think in terms of being on game 10, you don't make any of those risky changes yet. You play this match out, you see how it goes. I mean, they've made top 10 every game. Like you said, Sky Scroll have not only made top 10
اللي حاب شباب يدخل سيرفر ديسكورد، الرابط موجود بالوصف أو موجود بالتعليقات. نسوي هناك فعاليات، ندردش، أنزلكم أخبار. الشوب يتحدث كل يوم ينزل بالسيرفر.
See the exact point difference there at the top right. First and second, they are just leading the pack.
It's definitely pretty neck and neck between the top two right now on the leaderboard, but that's not to say we saw Sharkantini already have a crazy point jump off of just one Victory Royale placement. And that's the same thing that a duo like Thomas and Focus is going to have to replicate. They've had a really rough time with trying to pull things into their favor. They haven't done poorly throughout this weekend by any means. They have definitely been able to convert some solid endgame placement finishes. It's just they're going to need more than that. It can't just be good. It has to be great every single time from this point on if they want to find themselves in a realistic conversation for bringing home the Axe Champions.
Size and Scary have not matched their performance from yesterday. There's good news and bad news on this one. I mean, they've done so well in day one that they're still pretty comfortably in the qualifying range for the Summit 1 LAN, but they want more than that. They want to prove that they are a top team. And we've seen how quickly you could jump up the standings with big matches. Swizzy has done it. But Sias and Scary, we're going to need another pop-off match here today for them to come back.
But for a team like Size and Sketty, these are both players that have been around the scene for a decent amount of time. They're not new to this, but at the same time, you could argue that they were definitely new to being one of the leading teams in a major One Grand Finals leaderboard, Takata. And so how do you think that that's kind of impacted their performance here today? Because you would think, hey, maybe they can run it back, but that just has not been the case.
Thing is, they were playing incredibly well yesterday. They were playing incredibly confident, and I don't even think it was nerves. I don't think it was pressure. It was literally that one fight to kick off the day has kind of set the tone. The remainder of their matches, I'm not sure if it's a mental thing. I'm not sure what's causing them to struggle so much, but ever since the start of the day, it's just been downhill. I don't know. They need something big to kind of fuel themselves up again. Get that motivation, that confidence back from what we saw yesterday. But Kaido Haijo, they're going for the play. They're trying to catch Sky Scroll, our top team, off guard. Sky gets fully cracked now, down to 46 HP. Taco, this could be the change we've been looking for the Major 1 finals.
Oh, Kito's chasing, Haijo's chasing. They don't want to let Sky get away. He's trying to see where he can escape to. And just based off that red hand signal, he's heading straight deeper into the storm. Scroll trying to see if he can play catch up, but this is a tough position now. Kito and Haijo, how badly do you want it? Because for Sky and Scroll, and this is definitely going to put a huge hiccup into their overall game strategy. They might be looking to see what else they could steal from inside of this Surge base, knowing that there's got to be some white heals possibly stuck left waiting, but no, Scroll! That was the intent! He just stole everything. He took all of the white heals with him. And for Kito and Haijo, this is just completely blown up in their face. They needed to get that elimination. And just missing out is not going to put them in a position to where it might be difficult for them to even escape Battlewood Boulevard in the first place.
Yeah, the reverse heist from Scroll. Just taking the pizza, taking all the whites. Yeah, you can see it happen right here.
Splashes.
It was yeah, everything. They had medkit, splashes, pizza, he just threw it all. That's a little hiccup for Sky and Scroll, but I mean, to be fair, seeing that both players are still up, it should be a pretty easy regroup, and they can continue on forwards.
But now they're going to have to think about it for the rest of the lobbies, if that's going to happen again. Teeny trying to see what else he can pop off with. Tweg, first elimination going to be confirmed here. Shark looking for the secondary one, and yeah, no problem whatsoever following up on his duo's aggression. So a good, solid couple of eliminations to kick things off here in Game 10, but now kind of trailing back on over Pablo Chino. We saw them sort of leaving Sandy Strip pretty early on, and they've made sure to head a little bit further north. They're in a box. Solid spot, though, for the time being.
Got a zone pulling more north here. I'm thinking of Chap and Flixie right now. They have been kind of dropped down to 17th place on the leaderboard. They're just on the cutoff. Hoping we see them later on have a solid match here. They've been given the opportunity. Pablo Chino, though, looking healthy, obviously, despite having to rotate a little further than usual.
Oh, man. It just keeps getting worse, though. Over by Battlewood Boulevard. Sky trying to make his way on over. Kito and Haijo punished very heavily for their failed execution of that sneak play onto Sky. The bigger problem now to contend with, though, is that Belugi and Zangi are just hanging out nearby, and that's going to make it so problematic for either of these duos to kind of leave the area. I just feel like the third-party opportunity is still so prevalent here right now as Kito trying to escape from Scroll. Playing with a little bit of vengeance. Sky, too. Doesn't matter who gets the shots. Both of them clearly want to get this elimination. Settle the score once and for all. I don't know if you'd consider it revenge, but either way, Sky and Scroll definitely happy. Yeah, that's a big point to defend, but for Zangi and Belusi, this is still a little bit awkward for Sky and Scroll because they could potentially be cut off here. The zone has pulled pretty far north, and so they've got a lot of time and ground to make up for. And unfortunately, teams that are already based in better positions, they might just catch them when they're a little bit closer to the outskirts of the edge of zone.
Let's see if they can live up to the hype, though. I mean, we've seen Sky and Scroll play consistent, even when zones pull far. So they're going to have to prove themselves once again now when the gap has been closing. more and more between first and second. I drop Marius. This is a team that's right outside of the cutoff in 22nd place. They do need a big match here. They want to make it to the Summit 1 LAN, but for that, they have to figure out the Storm Surge situation.
Doesn't have to look pretty. They just got to get it done. That's really all they're trying to defend right now is both their namesakes. I drop Medius. A little bit of a tough position, though. They can get some good shots in here. They won't have to worry as much about that surge working against them, but Minori and Darkos, they are getting lobbied by everyone else. I drop to be able to help bring them just above that surge threshold, but they are still looking every which way to see where else they could possibly try and get some shots in. They're able to bring down Kurama. That could be a really nice refresh for this duo. Their material count doesn't look bad, but again, Takata, it's just elimination points and potentially bringing yourself one placement closer where you need to be. Darko's going to be cleared up, though, by the lobby. Not really many other options when everybody is just looking at the one solo moving by.
Wondering what happened to Vico Malabuca. It's a very good zone for them. They're 76 below, struggling on mats, rotating late into the zone. Yeah, this is just not the situation we want to see them in, especially with how good of a recent performance they just had, getting second with 12 eliminations. This is a team, they're always shooting for first place. They have experience in finals, they have experience at LANs. And the Surge, being the first major finals we've had this net Surge, is just showing how much it affects everything.
Part of the problem, though, at least for this lobby for Vico and Malabuca, is just the fact that sometimes when you get these zone pulls, when you look to go and try and build your Surge off of set strategies, teams just aren't going to be where you'd originally kind of expected them to be at, right? Everybody's rotating a little bit differently. These big Surge bases, everybody marks so clearly from the elevation points, but Sky, Scroll, they've managed to come this far. They've made it into Wonky Land. Their build count looking a little bit scuffed here. They definitely love a fight, definitely love a refresh. Thomas going to lose focus. Caught in a little bit of that congestion now, trying to see if he can elevate his position, avoid some of the motion underneath, but Sky, Scroll, they got exactly what they were after. They're gonna take down Thomas HD, and they'll be forced to sit and wait to see what Game 11 has in store, but the Danes just continuing to extend their position on the leaderboard.
I feel bad for Thomas and Focus. You got Sky and Scroll on one side, Swizzy, Pixie on the other. Really just not what you want to see going into the zone. Still got 2 more matches. Clean it up, though. Sky and Scroll, Swizzy, Pixie, they've set themselves up. Beamish and Darm as well managed to bump themselves up to 7. But what I got my eyes on is if Chino and Pablo are going to be able to close the gap in this match.
I don't know, the way that Beamish and Darm were moving just then, it looked like they were very interested in the fight that was taking place with Reason, O'Reilly, a couple of other teams. Definitely wanting to get a bit more aggressive here. Hanging out towards that front side, but Shark, Teeny, same intentions. 889 above currently on the surge damage threshold. And with the way the zone is pulled, Ixovsky, no chance. Send rolling down, cliff face. He'll be eaten alive by the rest of the lobby, but Vico, Malabuca, Huddy, all trapped amongst each other. Vico at least trying to see if he can net these 4 elimination points. He's got the knock. Malabuca waiting to see if he can confirm the finish, and sure enough, Vico and Malabuca, while they found some additional points here, they're still below on the surge threshold, and they're not going to have that chance to recover, at least not as a team. Vico, left by his lonesome, does bring down F9. A little bit of Siphon, going to pay huge dividends here for Vico. Big refresh on materials too, but the lobby is looking in, and it's looking to take down Vico. He doesn't get the chance to even break into that edge of zone. Cleaned up by the rest of the lobbies. Twy, Cringe, overtake now from height.
Take a quick look at what Chino's been up to. They were below going into this end game, but all it's going to take are a few good shots connecting, and it could be enough. Twy up above. Could be a potential very good zone for them. Pulls back over to that hill. Currently sitting in 9th, but for Swizzy and Pixie, they've already proved themselves throughout the day. We were close to having a devastating kind of land in the sense that our global championship trio, almost all of them, could have not made it. But the job isn't done for Swizzy and Pixie yet. They are still in 16th place going into this match, despite all the solid performances. One more good one, though, could help them solidify it. But Shark and Teeny, they also are looking for the win.
They want to go up. Cheatin' and Giannis might have beat them to it. One fun part about whenever the zones pull into this forest territory of Old Stumpy is that players can just connect right onto the treetops themselves. And Cheatin', Giannis, the overhead view currently, eagle-eye vision. They've got to make sure that they are keeping tabs on where secondary height is at, especially when it's a duo like Shark and Teeny, just waiting for the perfect time to strike. And continue targeting underneath, but they'll opt to drop a mild layer swap. Still hanging out towards front side of zone. Chino,
ايش قصدك بالمشات يخرب ما فهمت.
backside position, kind of wrapping around. I'd have the sneak jump, hunt a Mumsy and sky jump, trying to break in, pickaxe through, it's good. Chino gets the first, Pablo helps him get the second. Sky jump and Mumsy just never stood a chance here as they continue marking their way forward.
Perfect couple of eliminations. It was a duo that was looking healthy as well. Sharktini, though, it's their time to strike. Now looking for not only the height, but also a couple of eliminations alongside it. Yanis Cheatin put into panic as Cheatin is down to just a sliver of HP. Yanis left them alone as now Sharktini have control.
But everything is just so open-ended right now. Sky, he's gonna have to get the job done all by himself here. Currently, ultimate low, but he is just so far away from where Hyde is currently positioned. Still trying to make sure that his position isn't too heavily revealed, but it's just not good enough. Loses a big chunk of his HP. Has to use up his last couple of pizza slices even. Overdrive grenade effects at least gonna help him. But without any materials left to work with, he's got to connect with a big pump shine. He has to find it now, at least get a little goodie bag out of Giannis's loot. But still, more problems pouring in here. Sky, only so many places left to run. Looking back now, gets cringe in the process though. That's gonna be his fourth. And the eliminations just underneath them though. Pablo, Chino, they've scouted out this solo. Don't know if they realize that it's Sky just yet, but Sky scrambling, trying to avoid them. It doesn't matter how, when, or why, as long as he can stay alive. Just a couple placements further. Medius not gonna be brought down just yet, but Sky finally cut short there by Shakos, and that just leaves Pablo and Chino to play catch up here from Ultimate Low.
It was actually Chino who took down Scroll, so they know this is the chance to make something happen, but they cannot let it go to waste. Pablo goes down, Chino's left alone. He has more than enough loot, but the issue is, how's he gonna make it back? Swizzy, Pixie, on the other hand, both players healthy, looking to control low, but the pressure from height, it might just be too much. Pablo gets finished now, Chino has to find his rotate in.
But this is the recovery tour of a lifetime right now for Swizzy and Pixie. Chino still deep inside of the storm, but he's gonna take down Medius, waiting for that siphon to kick in. He needs it now more than ever. Stuck as a solo in the backside of the zone, and Sharkantini from way overhead, still applying so much pressure onto all these teams underneath. iDrop forced to just try and drop down to ultimate low here, but he might just drop straight into where Swizzy and Pixie are at. They're going for the top. Shark's gonna be the first one to the punch though. He brings down Swizzy. Now it's just Pixie left in the solo clutch scenario, but Sharktini, once they get rolling, they don't seem to stop. Pixie has height, but it's only temporary. He'll be forced to drop eventually. Teeny, Shark though, low on materials, trying to get the chop. It's the 1 versus 2. They're looking for their second victory royale, and they find it, no problem whatsoever. It's a different day for Shark and Teeny.
It is night and day comparing to yesterday, going into today in 21st. I don't even know where they're gonna be on the leaderboard after the second win of the day. The expectations have been met. This is the Shark and Teeny that we wanted to see. Desk, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling electrified now. Tini has to have such a strong faith now in this duo, not only making it to LAN, obviously they're going to make it to LAN, but also performing on LAN. He's teamed up with the most talked about player, arguably, in Chapter 7, at least in the European side of things, Levin. And now we're getting to see Shark really perform in a final.
It is great to see these guys have the day 2 resurgence, right? We've seen a lot of players have a bit of a day 2 resurgence, but I think this one in particular will inspire people, because after day 1, I think a lot of people were looking at Shark and Tini and saying, hey, these boys, man, their chain might be fake. I don't know if we can rate them how we really been rating them this season. And today has shown that no, these guys are 2 of the most talented players. They do have the ability in some of the most difficult lobbies to deliver and to perform. And again, regardless of what happens now as far as where they end in the leaderboard, as long as they qualify for Summit, I think they will continue to remain a team that people expect to do big things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of the same as what I said for Swizzy and Pixie earlier on. The best teams come back strong on day 2. They look back at where things went wrong, particularly if they had a bad day 1. And this is a prime example of that for Shark and Tini right now. The way that they took height here was really nice as well. They were sort of sneaking up on Janice and Cheated, and they did a really nice play to sort of force them down. And once they're in this position, there's just only one way the game is ending. The way that Tini knows, he has that experience. He knows when to go down, when to stay up. He knows how to play these end game situations, and even this at the end, lovely shot. I think it was from Shark actually. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful stuff. And I think that should get them inside of that top 5, which is very, very surprising for me, because going into this weekend, I didn't think they would do it because of their Osborne situation.
I'm wondering with this duo and some of the others we're now starting to see step up on day 2 very quickly, Levin. I'm probably wrong on this, but I feel like in the heats, obviously these duos, they're playing for consistency. Obviously it's great to get victory royale, but really what they're trying to do is just make sure they hit their benchmarks in those 5 games. Now that we have got 12 games on our hands, we're starting to see these teams adjust to a different way of playing Fortnite, and maybe that's one of the reasons that day 2 is a different side for example, the likes of Shark and Tini, Swizzy, Pixie.
I mean, there's always, in every Grands we've ever watched, there's always a big difference, I think, between how day 2 plays and how day 1 plays, as people look to adjust and learn from the mistakes of the first day.
Yeah, let's head to a break. When we come back, let's talk about some of the other big names on the leaderboard.
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk?
Stay there. We've got 2 more games to go today, and a lot of big name duos are indeed bouncing back. So let's take a look at the leaderboard and see where things stand before we head to game 11. And game 11 is where everything can truly change. So as you can see, Sky and Scroll are at the top, but again, their win is not secured. 42 points between them and Pablo Chino, who are having a fantastic day too. It doesn't matter where the zone goes. These guys are making it to the end games consistently. And if we take a look at Sky and Scroll, yes, they didn't have the best game again there, but what a performance from Sky Mini Miner to clutch his way to 8.
Yeah, even in that mid-game, Kaito and Hydro caused him a few problems, but still making it here into this end game. And earlier on, I was like, maybe you'd want Scroll solo clutching based on how this weekend's gone. I'm going to eat those words. I was wrong. Sky absolutely popped off right here, doing unthinkable things, really, from what we've seen from players this weekend. I mean, he's just jumping around, finding shots, with no builds as well for most of that 11, and just unbelievable stuff from Sky. These are the sort of performances that can win you an FNCS.
Absolutely. You know, I think back to some of my favorite duo FNCS wins of previous years and chapters. I think back to Swizzy and Vanya when they won, and they won off the back of great performances, but amazing solo clutches from both Swizzy and from Vanya. I think, again, if they were to walk away here with the FNCS Championship, Sky and Scroll would be able to say the same thing. They would win, not just through their sheer consistency, but off the back of great clutches from Sky and Scroll throughout these 12 games.
And it just speaks volumes about their day yesterday. They're still in the top spot because Pablo and Chino, yes, they've had to do a bit of clutching to keep maintaining their performance in those end games, 11-2K, but they are really maintaining and almost setting the pace here now in the lobby.
They're closing the gap. Don't allow these guys to get a comeback. I'm telling you, this play right here says everything for me. Right into the box. We're going to just take the fight to your face. They win. It keeps them pushing, keeps them ticking. Again, we've been highlighting the solo clutches from the first place duo. They were the ones that forced Sky into a solo clutch situation, and then they have to do it themselves where they're squeezing out points. Again, both these teams are just playing at an unbelievable level, Mini. Chino, again, showcasing why he is such a talented player. That shot right there, the 180, just to hit the one pump to keep himself in it. This shot onto Marius as well, he did not see it coming. I mean, wow, these players are unbelievable today.
Yeah, they're a team playing with so much confidence, and it's not something that we've seen throughout the rest of the season. Now they're really turning up to 11 here for these major finals, and something that I really want to highlight and something that I think is super important. If you're a Pablo, Wingu, and Chino fan, you've got to be excited about this. If you're a Sky and Scroll fan, you've got to be a little bit wary. Is remember at the beginning of the show, we were talking about their game 3 yesterday. It was that wonky land zone. We said, yeah, that was the game when they didn't have a very good one. They got a 20th or something. We had a pretty much exact same zone right there, and look what they have done. They bounced back from that mistake that they made in that game 3 yesterday, and given pretty much the same circumstances, they get a 4th with 7 limb. So they've answered those questions we had for them at the beginning.
I just want to ask them so badly about how they prepared for everything last night and what they did with their time. But we don't have much time to even speculate about that. We've got to head to page number 2 because all eyes have to be on Swizzy and Pixie right now. They were 48th going into today. They've already scored 289 more points than they did yesterday, given that yesterday they ended on 24 points. This rise is astronomical. If they can repeat the performance of the last game 11, they're absolutely making top 10.
They ain't done yet. I'm telling you right now, they are not done yet. They're going to keep on climbing. They have found their rhythm in this lobby. They have found that understanding. They have that connection. Everybody's bigging up against Swizzy's performances. We have seen Swizzy put on all-time great performances to win FNCSs in previous years, right? We know his ability to do that. Pixie again showcased why. As much as maybe he would have had a forgettable day 1, he's doing enough to keep them in it, keep the story going for them. And like I said, they're not done yet. They're going to finish in that top 10 if the things keep going like this.
It almost fills with a little bit of disappointment. Sorry, Frankie. It's like, why didn't we see this yesterday? If we saw this yesterday, maybe we'd have it even closer to them at the top. It's like, why didn't they do this yesterday? But they're figuring it out now when it matters most for them on day 2. And hopefully these last 2 games will be great for them as well.
And everyone obviously wants to win a Major 1 title, but it means so much more to do it on LAN. And we know that these are 2 players that can get it done on LAN. Some players already tweeting that they've made it to Dusseldorf. But again, you cannot know what's decided until we have finished Game 12. There's still 2 more games remaining. Let's get into Game 11 with Taco and Takata.
Swizzzy and Pixie have done more than just find their rhythm in day 2 of our Major 1 Grand Finals, Takata. These fellas might as well be hitting the bachata, okay? Because they are absolutely popping off, and it's so awesome to see this kind of resurgence and just them coming into form for what we know that their standard is typically at. But it's not easy to have that sort of mental bounce back. I think a lot of duos would definitely struggle when they're in that kind of position. And if anything, one thing that it does kind of remind me of is I remember, I want to say it might have been Chapter 5, but I believe Bucky Okus when they went from 42nd to like 12th on NAC. Granted, NAC is obviously not EU, but I do think it's just cool to see duos that are able to overcome those kinds of depths.
It really is. I thought it was going to take longer to see Swizzzy Pixie get to where they are now on the leaderboard, but I mean, they've solidified themselves in a great spot. The battle bus is ready. Let's head right on to Game 11.
Things are starting to get very spooky right now, though, Takata. Game 11. Major 1 Grand Finals. Only 1 lobby left to go. So if there's anything, any kind of new strategies that duos might be wanting to experiment with, this is going to be one of their last possible efforts to bring it forth. But Sky Scroll, Chino, Pablo, what are you doing next to each other? Chino and Pablo, they want to take this for themselves. They're not leaving it up to fate. Who's going to be the first one down the hill? Sky beats them to the punch. Chino is down. Pablo is finished. Sky and Scroll win out with the surprise off-spawn contest.
Are you kidding me? We've seen this in the Invitational. We've seen this in various regions, but now to kick off 2026 in the EU FNCS Major Finals, Sky and Scroll are solidifying themselves in that first place. They do not want to let anybody shake them out of it. There was a bit of trouble in the last match, and now the second place team, Chino and Pablo, wanted to put themselves in that first place spot, but after Sky and Scroll have just won that fight, now Chino and Pablo, they are in a world of trouble.
This is our FNCS. That's all I'm thinking is running through the minds right now for Sky and Scroll. A message has been sent and delivered, stamped and confirmed. Pablo and Chino, that was going to be their best opportunity to try and close the gap. I don't think that it's going to be possible for them to run that back here in Game 12 because everything hinges upon whether or not Sky and Scroll have a dudded performance here today, Takata. And if we're basing it on this weekend, that's just not in the cards.
It's literally what has to happen, though. For Chino and Pablo, Sky and Scroll would have to go down before the end game. And like you mentioned, Taco, odds, it's not going to look like it will end up that way. Akira Karama actually switching up their strategy a little bit. They do land south of Frigid, but now they've decided to take an early rotate to Dark Dominion. They know how contested it's been. Hopefully, it doesn't mess up Swizzzy and Pixie's strategy. I've just realized Swizzzy did go down, though, so Pixie's left as a solo now in a 1v2.
Akira Karama, this is also different sightseeing for this duo. They've had enough of the north portion of the map. It has not been working out for them. So they're going to play surprise contest, but it's just going to help out truly indirectly, truly taking shots now at Akira. Incredibly low on his shields, but Pixie being eliminated. At the end of the day, Swizzzy and Pixie have done a lot to play catch up, but it is still so difficult to deal with those kinds of last minute surprises. Sharktini, though, Huddy and Fishy were already outside of the qualification range, and with TD and Shark being in third place to kick off match lobbering number 11, It's no surprise that they look for the immediate 50-50. It is a nightmare scenario right now for Huddy and Fishy. Their hopes of land rest purely on how badly does Shark and TD want to keep them locked out of it. And Takada, it doesn't matter where Huddy Fishy try to go, Shark and Teeny are going to find them.
Yeah, they've got one thing in mind. Look, I know a first place finish is very great for the EU Major Finals, Shark Teeny being in third, but I think their priority is making sure that Huddy and Fishy do not make it to the Summit 1 Major LAN over in Dusseldorf. And so far, it's looking like it might end up that way. Huddy Fishy were 25th going into this match, and now getting eliminated off spawn by Shark and Teeny. So many big changes. We're not even in the last match of the day. Now I've got so many things going on in mind. I mean, we've got the top 20 cutoff. Some teams just on the edge there. Noah Reason, Chat Flixie, Hari Kami, Skyjop Mumsy. We also have now Chino Pablo, hoping that Sky and Scroll might go down before the end game. But if that does not happen, the gap between first and second is about to skyrocket.
Repairs and sure for though. Kiri. Couple of love taps into repairs his shields. Still, they'll be able to look back. They don't get the opportunity to try and return the favor here. Repairs and sure for called it at the start of the day, looking like a real dark horse contender here. I don't think many people, if anyone at all, would have really placed them into a top 5 leaderboard position. But here on day 2, they're looking to see just how much further they can really climb. Still realistic for them to possibly overtake Vico and Malabuka in that 4th place position yet again. Sky and Scroll though, man, what a start for this duo. They are so close to being our Major 1 finals champions. It's like you almost want to say it, but we still just have to see them fully flush it out. And while it is very, very likely, it's still one of those things where you never know what can go wrong next, because we've already seen teams kind of pivot their original strategies, testing out some new methods. Akira Karama is a great one to reference, because normally they've been heading a little bit south of that Frigid Fortress position, but Vico Malabuka already had some surge issues throughout the course of today, and now they have to keep trying to figure out how to revamp their own surge strategies, losing that possible opportunity onto the French duo. Chat Flixie also kind of skirting around the mountainside.
Yep, Flixie, say the best German player performance in 2025. Now they're just on the cusp of qualifying in 15th place. They have 261 points. But if they go down early, that could quickly turn around.
They're both just such competent fighters though. Chat Flixie dealing with the likes of Twek and Midro. They've certainly not had the weekend that they would have wanted to, but experience is experience at the end of the day. Chat lurking around, gets the big shot to start things off. Midro made it closer than what he would like it to be, but Twek now from underneath trying to see where he can chop break through. Flixie and Chap though firmly driving this fight into their favor. And Flixie, Chap, they might still just want another 4 elimination points, and they might just find it onto Tweg. Doesn't really have anywhere left to run. Cheeto count was running relatively low here. Gets a good side jump off onto Flixie. Pump shot to connect, but Chap still able to help seal the deal here. One more time, a couple of eliminations going to be confirmed. Kings of the Mountainside for right now.
Big early game for Chap and Flixie. That's what they needed. Yanis cheating. This is a duo that is a bit more comfortable. They are in the top 10, so they're in qualifying range now. Not much more to do, but they would like to obviously bump themselves up the leaderboard.
More importantly still, eager to represent their home country, home pride, right? It's Germans, knowing it's going to be Major 1 Summit LAN in Dusseldorf. That home crowd, very likely to get pretty loud for those two. So they definitely want to make sure that they leave things on a positive note. For Shark and Teeny, though, think back to where Chap and Flixie were just at. There is a possibility that later on, Shark Teeny might actually end up clashing with those two a little bit later on, since they are so far north playing for the vending machines right now, but I'll have to just wait and see. Oh, Riley and Reason, though. They've definitely had a much more volatile day, too. Even day one, gave them a run for their money. They still managed to overcome, and despite dealing with consistent off-spawns, they have managed to stay within that top 20 threshold. And obviously, you want to see two German icons in Dusseldorf repping at the LAN.
Issue is, before the previous match, they got 36th, 24th. The 7th place kind of bumped them up, but if they have another match where they don't make it into that end game, they can quickly fall short and not be in qualifying range any longer. So hopefully they don't have to take too many risks in this game.
I feel like the overall landscape of the map, though, had to change pretty drastically the moment that these players caught wind of Pablo and Chino being eliminated so early on, because that leaves Sandy Strip up for contention. So many other teams might have been able to take advantage of what's actually offered from that POI, and I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more littering throughout Battlewood Boulevard. Even teams kind of just more willing to scavenge those southern sections of the map. So they make their way through. Panzer, Yapko, gliding overhead. Calm before the storm, touching down where the rest of the lobby's at.
There's a team that lands close to Chino and Pablo, but seeing that they're just heading north already, we don't really know if they were able to kind of capitalize on that. One of the 3 duos opting for this rotate as well. Like you said, the calm before the storm, second to last match of the major. A lot of pressure on these players' shoulders.
They have had a decent weekend, still sitting in that 13th position, and currently with only 1 lobby left to work with here, Takata, it's pretty sensible to believe that teams that are within that top 13 should be pretty much confirmed for that Summit LAN qualification spot. But ultimately, you don't want to leave things up to chance. You don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. You want to make sure that you play out these lobbies as thoroughly as possible, because it's going to be the last 2 opportunities that all of these teams get. Teeny, Shark still lingering over by Wonkyland too, so when you think about teams like Yepco Panzer opting for those deep north side, dead side rotations, you gotta keep an eye out for where Shark and Teeny are getting up to. And honestly, Shark Teeny, I mean, think about the 2 wins that they've gotten, both 100+ point games, if I'm not mistaken, right? Just based off the additional elimination, basically 100-point games each time. And hey, you never know. Pablo Chino being taken out super early on. Shark Teeny, if they go for the hat trick, things could start to get a little dangerous for who's actually going to finish in that top 2.
That's what I was thinking. You know, they've got a big smile on their face. Everything's going well. They eliminated Fishy Huddy off spawn. No, we'll have to worry about Wonkyland, and now the 2nd place team that was right above them has gone down with 0 points. It's their perfect opportunity to overthrow them. Sure repairs. Another team in that top 5. They're trying to get above Vico Malabuca. Sayaz Scary yet to show us that they have what it takes to continue with their performance from yesterday. Now dropped to 8th. These players aren't even focused on qualifying to the LAN anymore. They're focused on getting the best placement possible.
For Size and Scary, compared to yesterday, it's kind of been a day to forget. Ever since that opening blow against Azat, losing the 1v2, it's definitely seemed like it's pretty much put so much hesitancy into how much confidence they really want to invest for some of these fights. I mean, we're just not witnessing the same duo that we did in yesterday's lobbies, but still definitely respect that performance they put in, because it's left them in a position where they don't have to be too pressed over today, because at least they know they've got the Summit LAN locked in.
Looking over at what Thomas HT and Focus are up to. Thomas is known for his AR aim. It was actually Nebs. They've had such a tough day as well. Nebs and Nathan. I'm wondering if both players actually did end up going down after that. For Thomas HD and Focus, though, they are sitting in 6th place right now. Good news for them, it's 5th and 6th. The gap is not nearly as much as it is from 3rd to 2nd or 1st. So they have a very good chance they can at least push themselves into top 4.
Did see just then, though, that leaderboard overview. Dharma and Deemish, 7th place team, has been eliminated. They've been very key heavy in today's matches ever since they were able to pretty much confirm maintaining top 20, but hey, never want to bite off more than you can chew, especially when there's so many duos that are also still so hungry to see how many more placement points they can climb up. Learning points, learning pains, growing pains too for Darn Deemish here, but for Twy and Cringe, 51 below currently. Zone pool just outside Squibbly Shores. They're gonna be harassed now by some of these surge ticks. They've got Miro and Joshbot on the other side of their builds, but can they force the engagement? I don't think they want to get up close and personal just yet. They'd rather see if they can just net a couple of tags from afar. It'd be much easier to work with than having to go for a 50-50 and risk placement against other teams. Burke will be isolated and brought down. That's a big break right now for Twy and Cringe.
I'm almost more scared for Hari and Cammy that are right beside them, considering that they're 19th right now. Right by the cutoff, but for Repairs and Sure, things were looking so bright in 5th place. The damage was there, but now Repairs is left as a solo, forced to close this game out alone. No heals, no shield, and just one overdrive grenade. This is really not where you want to be.
Might have just stayed a little bit too long inside that last zone. Sure, you get the surge you were looking for, finding the elimination, but ultimately teams that are already based in just better positions, kind of keeping Repairs at bay right now. He's gonna have to wait for the rest of the lobby to move first before he can even consider trying to depart his current box position. Twy and Cringe, though, picking back up where they left off. And now there's a little bit of flow state happening here. Okay, another nice little elimination pick off there. All that matters right now is making sure that you stay above that surge threshold, but more elimination points never hurts.
No, it does not. Sky and Scroll, they've made it back now from the stressful early game that didn't really last too long. That pressure was quickly relieved. Pico Malabuka, 4th place right now. They're trying to push into the top 3. With the way Shark and Teeny are looking, though, it's going to be tough. But so far, they are looking to be managing Surge better than they have been in previous games. But you do have to be a little careful. Being on the edge of zone now, a very long rotate to go. Let's hope they can make it.
But it's Vico Malabuka Takata. When's their victory royale going to happen? This is a duo that I'm real surprised that we haven't seen them have at least one win throughout the matches that have taken place already here today. And don't get me wrong, top 5 obviously indicates that they've had relatively strong performances when they needed to, but I want to see them fully lock in. I want to see them convert an endgame into a victory royale. And I wouldn't hate to see it, better late than never after all, but for Sky and Scroll, just another elimination added to the pile. 3 in total, 558 above now, make that 566 for the surge threshold. But the point is, they've got more than enough to work with. They're fully aware of where Ultimate High is at, and fortunately for us, they got a little look back, see poor Frenek trying to keep tabs on what's in front of him, never know what's coming from behind, and unfortunately, that was just too much pressure to deal with. A great collapse there by Sky and Scroll.
This is not what you want to see if you're Chino and Pablo right now. Even Sharktini, if they have a big match, it's going to put them closer and closer to that 2nd place spot. That is not what Pablo and Chino want to lose. That's now 409 above, but you got to be careful. Both players instantly gone down in the blink of an eye. Shark and Teeny get eliminated by Cringe and Twy.
Shark and Teeny, they wanted to be set up for that front side of the zone, but sadly, that's just not going to go in their favor. The dangers of playing back side of zone when it pulls the opposite way is players that were a little bit late to the party being able to pick you up along the way. Hydro and Keto now taking advantage of their position on height. Good suppressive fire, good suppressive measures. Shots and dodges over shield, but at the same time here, no knocks just yet. Got a good connection to their original surge point, but Malabuka, Vico, they're gonna send it. They want front side. Mid layer, torping through. Very adamant in keeping tabs on everything surrounding them. Vico now looking for some aggression onto Nero and Joshbot. They find the first. Can they get the second? They might not need it after all, the content to just wait. That little bit of Cypher materials, that's exactly what they needed.
It's a big opportunity for Vico and Malabuka, though. Seeing that Sharkantini went down, it's their chance to get top 3 now. All they need is a decent match here. And for Sky and Skrull, they just want to keep expanding that gap between first and second. And if Skrull doesn't get caught off here, it looks like they're going to be able to manage it.
Keep an eye, though, on Cringe and Twy. They start scaling their way up the hill face. Sky, Skrull, if they're not careful, you never know. The floor above might disappear, and for Chapin, Flixie, Sayas, and Scary have managed to come knock in and collect. But look at Sky, Skrull. They were headed so deep into the storm. I think that they're looking for a Flowberry Mist Grenade. They're starting to tarp up. Height has no idea. They're not looking this far back into where the storm is at. Haruko and Kyure, another duo that's hurting, but Skrull and Sky, they're willing to send it. Frontside challenge onto Height. It's just not high enough, though. And they'll be forced to drop just a little bit, but the damage might have been done. Haruko and Kyure had the same exact intentions. Focus, Thomas now gonna throw themselves up onto the high ground. Thomas won't be able to make it just yet, but he's waiting to reconvene with Focus. High ground is being sent into absolute shambles right now. Haruko's gonna be the first one to fall from it, but Noah, Riley, Reason, they've got business up top as well. Noah's gonna send it. One more overdrive grenade into the skies here, but he can't take care of Keto. Reason and Noah punished for trying to overthrow Height. Keto will finally get brought down, though, and Thomas, Focus, they're looking to be the ones to actually have control. And no, it's Sky and Skrull in similar fashion, but Skrull, he's gonna be knocked. No one can get a footing here on Height.
The bouncy house of chaos. Sky now is left alone. Just a sliver of HP's gone down as well. Thomas falls. Haijo up top. They started with Height after the chaotic high ground retakes from who knows how many teams. Haijo has ended up once again looking to claim it, but Focus is doing what he can to overthrow. Haijo drops. He's out of builds. He does have the HP and shield advantage, but without any mats to play with, it's just making it that much more difficult.
But for all of those teams, we saw like 5 different duos send it. One of them got fully eliminated. The other 4 left in solo positions now. But Focus, somehow, some way, he's still up top. Medius and iDrop trying to see now if they can be the ones to truly overrule the high ground. And Focus as a solo, he'll have to give it up. He's forced to drop here. Medius trying to see what kind of refrags he can pick up after the fact. iDrop want to send it downstairs. Cringe and Twy directly behind, but they're not going to be able to escape iDrop and Medius' vision. 6 eliminations already for Medius and iDrop. They knew that they needed a big pop-off performance here today, but Focus lurking. He could play spoiler here. Twy's looking up. He's not looking next to him. Focus just needs to get the opening shot here, but he's still lurking, crouching, crawling around these front side layers. And instead, the pre-existing build, the pickaxe is going to be revealed, but he can't withstand. A different player altogether has taken him down, but Cringe does lose his duo partner. iDrop and Medius looking to bring this one home. Just one more elimination. Just another set of 4 points to go to the count. Cringe trying to see what he can manifest here, but he's stuck inside the storm. He doesn't have a whole lot left to contend with here. Medius, though, with no iDrop, he's just gonna stay inside of zone. He knows only 2 builds remain. This is the time. Medius, you've done it once before, and he does it again. A victory royale to close things in Game 11 for Medius and iDrop.
18th place is where iDrop and Marius were going into this match. They were just on the cutoff of qualifying to the Major 1 LAN, and they have now solidified a spot with the amount of points that they have just secured. I am almost sure that we will be seeing them in Dusseldorf. What a way to close out the second to last match of the day. Congratulations to iDrop and Marius. This is what we wanted to see from them. Frankie 11 Mini, it's getting intense.
It really is. 100% agreed with you there, Takata. Marius and iDrop were 30th going into day 2. And they're another one of these experienced duos who understand the importance of that fantastic performance on day 2. You're not done after day 1, Minnie.
No, you're not, and it's really great to see these guys really rising up the standings. We've been talking a lot about Swizzy and Pixie today and how they've just been surging up the leaderboards, but Marius and iDrop, they've been quietly improving game in, game out, and this is really nice to see them finally pick up that well-deserved win right there. We saw it from Marius in the heat. We saw him solo clutching their way from about top 25 or something to make it here, and now still doing it in the major finals as well, getting that final shot to win 11. Really excited about these guys, and really excited to see them at LAN as well.
Yeah, I think these guys ultimately understand one key thing about Fortnite. All that matters is recency bias. As long as they end the day in a decent enough position, we can forget all the other 10, 11 games that happened. All that matters is where you end up. And the good thing for them is after that game, they will be in a much nicer position. And yeah, again, regardless of, you know, some of the troubles they have had over the course of today, all it is just learning lessons as they look to gear up for the Summit LAN, right? One of the more exciting parts of Summit LAN that I don't think we've really touched on is the fact that it's going to be like the first LAN we've ever had where the FNCS we just watched will be played on the same meta, right? And so the lessons they learned throughout this weekend will be incredibly valuable for them as they look towards the LAN.
Well, we are ready to take a short break, and when we come back, everything is on the line. It's the final game of the FNCS Europe Major 1 Finals.
Wait, if you're mid play. 100! 100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
It doesn't matter where you are watching, whether on LAN or online. Game 11 in FNCS always delivers, and there's a good reason for that, because it's time to look at the two duos at the top and see what they're going to do to assert themselves. And my word, did Sky and Scroll assert themselves, Levin.
I was jumping out of my chair. I mean, I was... one, we were sort of expecting this play to happen, right? The distance between top two and the third place team meant this was going to have to be the play at some point, whether it was game 11, whether it was game 12. We typically see this thing happen in game 12, but I understand the thinking from Chino and Pablo to go for it here in game 11. Unfortunately, they are dealing with the best duo in the world who just have no weakness in their game plan, and so they were ready for the off spawn, the perfect, both of them bunny hopping as well on the drops is just disgusting, Mini.
Yeah, that's always the risky run when you land on another team. They're going to know that drop better. They're going to know the little intricacies of that drop. They're going to know how to drop there in terms of the bus path and everything. And right there, Sky bunny hopping off of that rock, got him to that weapon ahead of Chino and Pablo. And my goodness, was that aim incredible there as well, because if it wasn't, then it would have put them in deep trouble there. Looking at the leaderboard right now, there's still a long way to go for Chino and Pablo, but I think what they'll be happy about is that Shark and Teeny didn't have a good game. So I think maybe we'll run it back. We'll see.
I mean, look, I'm sure people will be wondering if they run it back, especially again, Sky and Scroll. They did well to make the most out of that game. Sky, you know, able to get a couple extra points. They finished 11th. They keep that gap. I mean, the question is, what was the other version of this play, right? Because I think there will be some people who maybe would argue, instead of landing on them, maybe there's a world where you actually just loot up and you just book it, right? And just run straight at Boulevard, right? You know, especially where they can use the teleporters to maybe get there a bit quicker as well. Like, there is a world where they didn't have to straight up just land on them to sort of get the same effect they were looking for. And so, yeah, at this point now, do you just say, you know what? We actually just have nothing to lose now as far as the win goes. Let's just try again. Or do you take a different approach to it? I think maybe I'd take the different approach, especially since Sky and Scroll clearly aren't mucking about when it comes to fighting off spawn.
You can see that top three hasn't moved since game 11, and Shark and Tina, they might not have had the best game, but they have absolutely dominated on day 2 at their off spawn. I'm sure that's sure to continue into game 12, Levin.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reality is, you know, this game, you probably were expecting more out of them because there was a genuine opportunity for them to maybe even catch up and steal second place away in this tournament. I'm almost glad that they didn't, because now it makes the sort of rematch between Pablo, Chino, and Sky and Scroll a possibility and more interesting. But you can't deny just how exceptional Shark and Teeny have had to be today to be in this position. Contested, third place. You know, I started at the start of the weekend talking about how one of the best performances I've ever seen contested was Queasy Swizzy Moustache last year, and they came 4th in that. And so these guys currently beating that out is unbelievable.
We're looking at 4th right now, Focus and Thomas. There are lots of memes online about him coming 2nd again. It has been difficult for them at times in terms of the zones, but it's great to see them consistently stay in this top 5, Minnie.
Yeah, really happy that these guys have been able to continue what they started yesterday. Again, the zones haven't been quite as favorable as they would have liked. We haven't really had that sort of southwest zone, barring that one that was Battlewood that wasn't really Battlewood. It was more south, wasn't it? So, no, it's great to see these guys popping up. It's great to see them performing. And it's going to be great to see them on LAN as well. And I think you raised a great point earlier, Levin. Of course, the meta is going to be largely the same, you have to imagine. We're going to be playing on the same season. So I think Thomas and Focus are a team that will continue to grow, and they will be a prime example of a team that will continue to develop in this meta.
And we've missed Thomas on LAN. We want to see this. We're excited to see this. We're also excited to see Scary and Sires. I think Takata is especially excited to see Scary and Sires. Their day 2 hasn't been great, but hopefully lessons have been learned as they look towards Düsseldorf.
Yeah, at the end of the day, these guys, you know, they could not play this last game, and they should still be able to walk away from this weekend with their heads held high. Everybody doubted them. Nobody had them anywhere near the types of performances they've been able to put on today. And for that alone, I'm excited to see how this translates onto the LAN stage for these two.
Well, you know what, guys? We have waited a long time for this finals. We had to wait until spring for Major 1. We're so excited to head to LAN in Düsseldorf next month. The question is, which 20 duos from Europe are we going to see representing our region? It's time for Game 12.
Thank you, Frankie. The big question, not only which 20 duos will make it to Summit 1 LAN, who is going to end up winning? We had the off-spawn battle, Chino Pablo against Sky and Scroll. Now, I did some math. The difference between first to second place is 88 points. We've seen 100-point games. The difference between second to third is 130 points. I was thinking with the way that went, there's no way they do it again, right? Right? But now... I don't know, Donko.
They don't have much to lose. They could run it back. Why not? I always like to play devil's advocate in these kinds of situations because I'm looking at it from our viewer perspective. This has been an absolute showdown, and not only that, but Chino, Pablo, you really just gonna let them B-hop disgrace y'all off spawn? Take it back, run it back, see what happens. Because if there's any duo that I think could bounce back from that kind of situation in Game 11, it would be Chino and Pablo. But Game 12, ready to rumble. Let's see how it goes.
I think there's higher odds that we do get a run back versus not. It's going to be very difficult to get 130 points. But I mean, if any duo is going to do it, Shark and Teeny is the duo that would be capable of it. But we don't have to wait long. I see Sky Scroll, and I don't see Pablo Chino.
But that's fine, because there's one other thing to still keep in the back of your minds, and it's that for Sky and Scroll, while they aren't going to be contested off the immediate 50-50 for the off-spawn, there's still an opportunity for Chino and Pablo to try and cut them off elsewhere. They've been very obvious with trying to see exactly how they can, reformulate their strategies. Pablo and Chino, it's not without, it's still within their reach, but it's just going to be a very, very difficult game. They've got a lot of work cut out for them. Shark Teeny, though. Huddy Fishy. Hurt, but still kicking. Shark trying to see if he can change that, though.
If Huddy Fishy somehow get like a 100-point game here and win, just to qualify to the Summit 1
Plot
man.
armor.
that would be crazy. We know that's the last thing Shark and Teeny want. So I expect some aggression from this early game here. Question is when. Doesn't have to be quick, but with the confidence they've had, wouldn't be surprised if it is.
Sharkatini, though, they don't exactly want to go over aggressive with it. They want to make sure that they're just confirming the elimination of Huddy and Fishy. And already Huddy Fishy, they have fully forfeited the arcade game position, but they're still looking to see if they can maybe try and sneak up onto Shark. Fishy, Huddy, going for a quick collapse here. Shark, though, getting the better end of the exchange, but it's going to be a turnaround instead. Shark has been brought down, solely down to Teeny, but Teeny, he doesn't have a shotgun. He's only got 2 pistols and an assault rifle, and with no shotgun against the likes of Huddy and Fishy, I don't think that there's a way for him to escape here. He's going to have to kick it into overdrive to beat this one out, and will manage to get the loot from the arcade game. Temporary bailout, but still, twin hammers versus a couple of palms. That is a daunting feat to overcome here right now for Teeny. Pablo and Chino, they find their first pair of eliminations here. 8 points added to the count. Hanging out by the vending machines were in the gas station, but Peshka Gold not happy with these new visitors. Teeny limping around Wonky Land. Does have a Chug Jug, but Huddy and Fishy are just so healthy. Shark and Teeny, they have done so much to prevent Huddy and Fishy at least from entering Game 12 within the top 20.
يعطيكم العافية شباب.
But now they
أنا
have to
بقفل
sit
البث
and wait to
نراكم
see
قريبا إن شاءالله. يعطيكم
whether or
العافية. ما
not
حط لايك
Fishy
واشتراك
and
وحط
Huddy
لايك.